Hello everyone and welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to cover a very interesting topic for AWS Solution Engineers and Architects. We'll be discussing how to deploy a web app on a server using AWS App Runner. In this video, I'll walk you through AWS documentation and explain each step. We'll create a Docker container, build it locally, push it to Amazon ECR, and then deploy it using AWS App Runner. It's a very exciting topic. As a cloud engineer, you're probably familiar with deploying containers using EKS or ECS clusters, which involve setting up pipelines, deployments, load balancers, and autoscaling. However, in this video, we'll simplify that process and create everything in less than 20 minutes. And for this tutorial, we won't be using CloudFormation, but once you understand the steps, you can easily automate the process using CloudFormation if needed. Here's what we'll cover today. First, we'll create a container image for your web app. Next, we'll push the image to Amazon Elastic Container Registry, or ECR. And finally, we'll deploy the image using AWS App Runner. Once we're done, I'll show you how to clean up all the resources. Before we start, make sure you have the following prerequisites in place. First, you must have an AWS account. If you don't have one yet, go ahead and create it. Or check out one of my earlier videos where I walk you through that process. Second, make sure you have the AWS CLI installed and configured on your local machine. You'll need to be familiar with CLI commands. Next, you should have Docker installed on the machine where you'll build Docker images. And finally, Visual Studio Code for editing your app's code. Now, let's dive into the implementation, which consists of just 3 stages: creating the container image, pushing the image to ECR, and deploying the image using AWS App Runner. Let's start with step 1, where we'll create the container image. Open a terminal and run this command to create a new folder for your web app. Then open Visual Studio Code and navigate to the folder you just created. In the Explorer section, create a new file named index.html and add a simple HTML page to it. If you need a sample HTML file, let me know in the comments and I'll provide it. Next, create a Docker file in the same folder. This file will define the steps to build your Docker image, including using the Nginx image. Once your Docker file is ready, run the following command to build the Docker image. Next, we'll move to stage 2, where we push the image to ECR. If you don't have an ECR repository yet, go to the AWS Management Console, search for ECR, and create a new repository named Nginx Web App. Once you've created the repository, you'll receive a set of push commands to authenticate Docker and push your image to the repository. Just follow those commands step by step. Now your image is successfully pushed to ECR repository. Now let's move on to step 3, the deployment using AWS App Runner. Go to the AWS Management Console, search for App Runner, and create a new App Runner service. You'll select the image we push to ECR as the source and leave the other settings as default. AWS will automatically create the necessary roles and permissions for you. After a few minutes, your service will be deployed and you'll get a domain URL where you can access your web app. And that's it. You've successfully deployed your app using AWS App Runner. The great thing about AWS App Runner is that it handles autoscaling, load balancing, and a lot of the infrastructure setup for you. All you had to do was build your Docker image, push it to ECR, and deploy it using App Runner. If you want to update your app, just push a new image to ECR with the latest tag, and App Runner will automatically deploy the updated version. There are also advanced ways to automate the process using Jenkins, AWS Code Build, or other CI/CD tools, but we'll cover those topics in future videos. If you found this tutorial helpful and want to see more content like this, feel free to drop a comment below, and don't forget to subscribe for more cloud tutorials. Thanks for watching.